This is my top 10 most valuable games. What's going on, guys? Eric coming back at you from the Nerd Cave, and today we're going to be looking at another top 10 video from my own collection. Showing you guys that I am a collector. I don't just buy stuff like a dirty reseller to make money on it, but the top 10 games. Now, that being said, this is not my top 10 most enjoyed games, so we're going to start off with the least valuable game in my top 10, and we're going to work our way up to the most valuable game in our top 10. So worth mentioning, the least valuable game in our top 10 is actually kind of a tie. We aren't going to include the other game. You did see me pick it up in the Nintendo DS or BS series, and that is the factory sealed copy of Chrono Trigger on DS that I did decide to keep. But our number 10 game is Contra 3 Alien Wars. If you've been tuned into the channel for a while, you may have seen me pick this guy up in the I Bought Super Rare Games from a Dungeons & Dragons Artist episode. Great episode. Went and saw my good friend Tracy Lesh. I was able to come away with this absolutely clean copy of Contra 3 Alien Wars. This game's worth about $200. Moving on up just a couple bucks. And jumping over to a more modern console, to PS2, my number 9 game is Obscure on PlayStation 2. This game comes in regularly at about $210 complete, and it's just an awesome game. Kind of outside the Resident Evil, Silent Hill type of norm. Something a little bit different. Definitely recommend you guys check that one out. Jumping into the number 8 spot and jumping up a little bit here, we do have a complete in-box copy of Pokemon Stadium. As you can see, my copy is super sun-faded. Very, very sun-faded. My understanding is the game store actually had this in their window for a while. So, but this game, even sun-faded, it's worth about $250 to $260. Next game, another one. This one is not complete. I actually don't have a manual for this, but it is Paper Mario, or no, I lied. I do have a manual for this. This is complete. It is Paper Mario for N64, and this game is worth about $300 complete in box, believe it or not. Excellent game. You may have heard me talk about this depending on what order these videos get uploaded in, or you may hear me talk about it in a future video. This game is much better than Thousand Year Door. If you think Thousand Year Door on GameCube is better than this game, comment below and argue with me, because you're wrong. Just saying. I feel very strongly about this game. Excellent game. Did everything Thousand Year Door did first. Thousand Year Door is just a rehash with shoehorned mechanics that nobody wanted. Next game. This one's kind of important to me. This one does have no manual, but this is Ogre Battle 64. This game, interesting story about this one. You may have heard me talk about in the Meet Nerdy Eric episode, if you tuned in for that one, about my cousin who passed away and about how I decided to kind of make some changes in my life, how I decided to course correct and do something a little bit different than what I had been doing. Start kind of betting on myself and doing the resale thing full time. And that was driven largely by some health concerns that I had, and by also my cousin Jake passing away. So after Jake passed away, his brother and his sister gave me the game that he was playing. This is his copy of Ogre Battle 64. It actually has his save on the cartridge, so one of these days when I feel up to it and I'm not a hot mess, I'd like to get some kind of capture software first where I could capture it from N64. If anybody has any recommendations for that, definitely let me know. I don't know a lot about that stuff, but it'd be cool to capture it. I'd love to finish his save, kind of play through the rest of the game that he started. I think that'd be neat. If I didn't say it, that game, even with no manual, is worth about $300. And the next game, jumping back over to PS2, is going to be Haunting Ground. This is one of the big 4 PS2 games, so one of the most expensive PS2 games that there is at all. This game, complete in nice condition, is worth about $340 to $350. This is another survival horror game, something again outside of that Silent Hill, Resident Evil norm that we kind of saw at that time. Something a little bit different, a little more obscure like the other game. But Now we are jumping into our final 4 games. We're not jumping up a whole lot here, just a few bucks. Yes, I know this box is not real, but the game inside of it very much is. So this is cartridge only, and that is how I'm pricing it. I'm not pricing this based on having a box, but I got a replacement box. All my other games are in boxes. I like having boxes on my games so that they all match. I don't just have a loose cartridge sitting on my shelf, and I don't mind spending a little bit of money to protect my copy of Earthbound, which, believe it or not, cartridge only these days is worth about $350. Fun fact about this game, I actually bought this when I started collecting Super Nintendo games about 4 or 5 years ago. At the time, the game was worth about $175. I got it for $160, which I thought was a great deal at the time, and even more so, I feel strongly that it's a great deal. I bought it without ever having played the game before, when that was definitely paying up for a Super Nintendo game at the time. To spend $160 on a loose cartridge, it's a lot of money for a loose cartridge. Could have emulated it, could have tried playing it for the first time a different way. I had trust that I was really going to enjoy that game, and you know what? It is one of my favorite RPGs of all time, bar none. I'm one of those people that has the, I guess I'll say, unpopular opinion that Earthbound is better than Chrono Trigger. So let me know what you think. You prefer Chrono Trigger? You prefer Earthbound? I'm an Earthbound guy. That ending, whoo, weird, and I love it. Also, if you beat that game without a strategy guide, you're amazing, and I beat that game without a strategy guide, so I'm amazing, I guess. Next game on our list, I was really surprised to find out how far up our list this moved, but this is a complete in-box copy of Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. For anybody who doesn't know about this game, this was a collaboration between Square Enix and Nintendo. So the people who made Final Fantasy and the people who made Mario made a game together. It is a freaking excellent RPG. Probably one of the best top 5 RPGs on the Super Nintendo, definitely. I know there's some other ones that stand tall on Super Nintendo as an RPG console, so can't say it's the best one. Excellent game, though. And this game nowadays is up to $370, which is nuts. Now we're going to jump up a little bit in my final 2 games. You guys may have seen me talk about this one before if you've been tuning in the channel for a little bit. I was pretty excited when I got it, and I talked about it a bit then, and I talked about it again in the Resident Evil Netflix video, but that is my complete in-box copy of Resident Evil Gaiden for Game Boy Color. This is a very obscure game. It's not a particularly great game, to be honest with you. It is if you're a Resident Evil fanboy like myself and you just really enjoy Resident Evil stuff. There's a lot to be liked about this game, but there's a lot of mechanics in this game that are working against it, so you really kind of have to get used to it, know what you're doing, and play through it effectively, if that makes sense, because if you start to play ineffectively, you can essentially wall yourself out and you really can't finish the game. You just kind of have to start over, which is annoying because this game is several hours long, even being a Game Boy game. But this game is worth approximately $560 complete in box. It's a pretty big range depending on condition when you get to games that expensive. Last game here I do have no inserts for, but it is my copy of Chrono Trigger on Super Nintendo. This game is in box, again, no inserts, so I did not count the inserts to the total price. The total price with inserts normally is about $775 to $800. Mine has no inserts, so I was saying that this game would probably be worth conservatively somewhere in the neighborhood of $550 to $600. Maybe a little more towards the north end of that number. The cartridge itself is in excellent condition inside, and I can say that that game is another one. Excellent RPG. Super Nintendo is just coming in hot with one great RPG after another. But thank you guys so much for sticking around to the end. Thank you guys for watching me talk about my top 10 most expensive video games. And remember, when you see those toys and video games off in the distance, especially if they're really expensive, it's not a mirage. You guys have a great day.